The AP Hub was designed specifically for back office members in mind, and it's meant to drastically enhance your current AP processes. So if your shop doesn't have an AP process already, this is the perfect opportunity to start one with automations built in. And if your shop already does have an AP process, well, this is a great way to enhance that tenfold. So the way you can access the AP Hub is just find it in the navigation bar and you can open it up. And what Wikidfile is doing is behind the scenes, we're reconciling all the data you're bringing in between your shop management systems and the documents you are uploading into the system. What we give you in the AP Hub is an invoice first view, and we automatically code these invoices to what we see based off the reconciliations. So in other words, if we see parts on the invoices were credited or sold, we will code those invoices as credited or sold, or if they're inventoried, we will do inventory, shop supplies. Obviously, these codes are good to go. The invoices are accounted for. What we want to make sure is all of our invoices and all of our parts on those invoices are good to go and accounted for a vendor before we make that payment to that vendor before the end of the month. That is the typical AP process. So what we may notice here is there are some problems actually. Two of the codes that Wikidfile is giving me is, hey, we have some parts that were bought for an RO or not sold, and we have some that were uncategorized, or in other words, uncodable. So we'll take a look at a couple of these examples. Let's start by looking at some of the invoices that are coded as bought for RO not sold. So I just clicked on this code, and that's going to filter my invoices below to show me what is bought for an RO not sold. Now, before I click into an invoice, I do want to point out we give you quick information about each one of these invoices. We give you the invoice number, the vendor, the location of your shop from what the invoice is from. We'll let you know if this invoice is already matched to a statement with this first dot. So if this lights up green, that means actually the statement's already uploaded and this matched to a statement. The second dot's letting me know if this matched to a bank transaction, if it's not a statement vendor. And actually both of these will light up if the statement total matched up to my bank transaction, meaning the statement itself is actually already paid off. So in other words, this invoice is already paid off. I'm working last month. I should probably be working this month, but let's open this up anyways and see what's going on. We will see where Wikidfile has automatically coded these parts. One is, again, bought for an RO, not sold. This was the problem. The other, the shipping charge, actually was sold, so not a problem there. Let's focus on the problem. This headlight was bought for an RO, not sold. We don't see where this is credited either. I could open up this repair order in my shop management system or through Wikidfile with this link and figure out what happened with this part. Why did it not get sold? Now, once I determine what happened with this part, maybe it did get sold, maybe it got credited, I could actually click on the code itself as I just did, and you can change the code of the part to make sure this invoice is accounted for before I make that payment at the end of the month. So I could say, actually, no, this was sold, or no, this was credited, or we decided to inventory this. Whatever code you choose, as long as it is one of these green codes before, we will code that invoice separately and change it to sold or credited or whatever you decided. Now, maybe I need a little bit of help determining what happened with this part. Maybe I'm in the back office, I just can't figure it out. I can always create a task in Wikidfile and go through the process of assigning this invoice to someone at the shop to give me some further info. Help me out. What happened with this part? When I create a task, that'll actually send the user that you choose an email with your message and a link to this invoice where they can respond back and forth to you regarding this part on this invoice. Now, let's take a look at another example. I want to point out an uncategorized spend example. So I clicked on uncategorized spend. Let's find an invoice real quick. We will do this invoice right here. And the reason this is an uncategorized spend is because the PO number on this invoice just does not tie to an RO number. And it's pretty obvious why. This is not a typical part invoice. This is not tied to a work order. So because this is not tied to a work order, we don't see where this was sold. We don't see where this is credited. Again, same process. I could change the code here and tell Wikidfile if it was sold. Let's change the code to sold, credited, inventoried, shop supplies, whatever it may be. You can change the code. Same as before. If you need help, task it out. One thing I would like to point out as well is you do have the ability to keep track of what you have been working on. So maybe you're not ready to recode this yet. you can always change the document status as well on these invoices to basically give yourself a note like, hey, I have this invoice under review. I need to come back to this in case I get pulled away. Or, hey, I actually reviewed this invoice. And what that will do is back on this massive invoice view is I would actually be able to see any invoices that have my document status updated as under review or reviewed, just like this. So I can see 2 of these invoices I marked as reviewed, so I could tell from this table I don't need to click back into them quite yet. These are reviewed. Similarly, I can see what's been tasked out already. This one has 2 open tasks on it. This one has a resolved task, and that can help me determine if I need to click into these invoices or if I don't need to.